And so it's just it can be a ruthless game. You gotta have tough skin, but you also have to be like really optimistic that things will keep going. The big one, Truth Hurts, is kind of a crazy story that I honestly think any musician needs to hear because it changed the way I view everything.
Welcome to this episode of Fighting Spirits, a Zenki Dojo podcast. Join Sensei Tim Santos, an LA-born and bred Gracie Jiu-Jitsu black belt, for raw, real-life stories of setbacks, comebacks, and fighting the good fight. Today's guest is producer extraordinaire STEVIE CHEUNG, aka Tele. He's a Grammy nominee for Song of the Year and Record of the Year for Lizzo's breakout hit, Truth Hurts. His credits include tracks by Cardi B, Leon Bridges, and other fan favorites. From music to martial arts, he has got some platinum gems to drop. Let's do this.
All right, we're here again. Zenki podcast.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
I think from what I know of you, you're one of LA's most successful songwriter.
I don't know.
Musician.
I don't know about that.
Sexy beast.
There we go.
One of those.
I'll take C for 400.
So I kind of wanted to go right into maybe getting a little bit of history on your, because I don't know much about it, with how you came about in writing one of Lizzo's biggest hits. Like, how did that happen? Like a story.
Mm-hmm.
I know you told me a little bit about it.
Mm-hmm.
How it even, you said it went down the charts. It was up, went down.
Well, that one actually was less of a hit, but the big one, Truth Hurts, is kind of a crazy story that I honestly think any musician needs to hear because it changed the way I view everything. Truth Hurts, for those that don't know, was the longest standing #1 record by a female rapper ever. I think it recently was exceeded by Doja, but I don't know. I want to say it was like at least 10 weeks at #1, and then got nominated for Song of the Year and Record of the Year. And that's something that I co-produced with my big bro, Ricky Reed. And the story it starts like a long time before, because the song actually came out 2 years before it had its success. But just to rewind, I was living in LA for I want to say 3 or 4 years at that point, and I was pretty down bad. I kind of had over leveraged my credit card. I maxed it out. I was like getting $10,000 in debt or something like that. I didn't really have anything going on for me. I didn't know anybody really, and I moved here in a production duo that we felt like it was better for us to part ways. And at the time, I think I was a little bit lost. You know, I didn't know where to reach, and I was kind of like feeling like maybe quitting. And I was working nonstop, but I wasn't making very much money. And LA is a difficult place to break in. It takes a long time to become like integrated in people's networks and for have them trust you. You know, everybody's trying to stay afloat in their own way, and sometimes the best way you know how is working with mostly only other people that have clout, and I had no clout. But there was an era then that was really they hadn't discovered loops yet, and loops for a lot of people are a big way people get placements nowadays. And like there's websites like BeatStars and all types of places that like splice. You can create loops as a producer, which is a loop is essentially a semi-arranged track with no drums, and then the single sounds at the end. And I always felt like the best way for me to get my foot in the door is be valuable to somebody else. And so I was trying to find somebody to be valuable to, and I had all these ideas I had built. And luckily enough, like my oldest friend and essentially like my god brother, we came down here together, and he had a mentor named Jake One, and he had done all these loops for him, and he had called them samples at the time. He was making all these kind of like soul type things for hip hop records. And I saw him get a bunch of placements and get his foot in the door and do a deal. And I thought, well, that's probably the easiest way for me to make that happen. So I spent like 6 months every day for like 12 to 14 hours, sometimes like 20 hours a day, like not sleeping, just making loops. Like I made loops for like 4 to 6 months. I had hundreds and hundreds, maybe it's like thousands of them. Like I just really cranked them out because I felt like I know how to make interesting sounds and I know how to play instruments and and I'm obsessed with sound design. So what I can provide is like a really unique niche into like, if I dive in so far, I'm going to provide something that other people won't, you know? And long story short, like I was going to all these parties and I trying to just go out every night to meet people, at least for a little bit. And I went to this bar because a friend of mine, my manager at the time, a really good friend of mine, Vlad, had been connected with Nice Life. And Nice Life was Ricky Reed's company. And we went and we met them at El Condor for Take Tuesday. And Ricky Reed was DJing and the label manager, Brad, was there. And I just kind of tapped in with them and got to meet them. I sent them a folder several months later. I kind of like dragged my feet on it and I wish I didn't, but you know, it worked out. One of the ideas I had sent in there ended up being Truth Hurts. So Truth Hurts came about by him speeding it up and kind of editing it. And Lizzo came in. And at the time, I think she might have even been just like barely off being homeless. She was like sleeping in her car. He found her. She's from like Minnesota. Like she came a long way. She's an incredible success story. And he signed her early on, seeing the vision in her. And Ricky Reed, I believe, is one of the best producers. He has super good taste for that kind of thing. And he was a really early, his company was early on too. He only had like maybe one other people signed. And he was still trying to make a name for himself. He had kind of risen and started this company off the success of like a few Derulo songs, Pitbull songs, Fireball, Wiggle, and then some Fifth Harmony ones. And so Lizzo was like a developing act that he was attempting to break. So we did Truth Hurts and I thought, wow, that's great. This is my first major label record. I'm kind of in the door. At least I have something to say, like I have at least something happening. But like I said, she was really small at the time. We put it out and it was released through Warner. And after like several months, it got like 5 million plays total. And I thought, that's not bad. You know, I didn't really see it, but I think I talked to Ricky later and they were kind of depressed because they actually felt like it was a hit. Fast forward 2 years later, I'm still broke. I don't have any other songs coming. Like I had that, but I was like, couldn't really leverage it into more opportunities as well. And I was there was a sync offer and a sync is like a licensing of a song for like a commercial or a movie. There was this Netflix movie with a few budding actors that I was a fan of, like Lakeith Stanfield, and I think there was a few others. But I needed that money so bad from the licensing that I was hounding my lawyer, please, please, please get this money for me, get this money. It's $10,000. I needed it like so bad. He pressed for every day for like months, and finally it got pushed through. And the movie came out a couple days before my birthday, and that movie was the first domino in essentially like a viral set of dominoes where that movie happened. It in the beginning of the movie, within like 12 minutes, there's this scene where the whole first minute and a half of the song plays and the stars of the song are singing and dancing to it in the kitchen. And the movie is essentially about heartbreak. And the song is saying like, why men great till they gotta be great. It's like kind of like, come on. And it was also like coinciding with the Me Too movement and the feminist movement and all these like really powerful movements that were happening, body positivity and sex positivity. And that song gave it, the licensing gave it a lot of exposure. It then went #1 on like Spotify World Viral charts, and then it started to climb the charts on Billboard, and then it started to climb the American radio charts, and then they bundled it into the deluxe version of her album that had come out around that time. And that song slowly, just over the course of the entire year, pushed all the way to the top and really broke her as an artist. And like I said, like it gave her whole album a lot of light. And then, you know, she was nominated for like R&B Album of the Year, Best New Artist. This was the same year as Bad Guy and Old Town Road. So like Billie Eilish was just breaking as well. Lil Nas was breaking. It was kind of an exciting time. And that whole experience changed my life. I went from basically a nobody to being the person that like the head of Columbia, the head of RCA, the head of like Sony wanted to meet for lunch that day if I messaged them.
Wow.
I went to New York and I met with every single label. I met with every single label here, and everyone was like, it just was a tide switch. Wow. I got texts from everybody in my life. I had become to everybody else a superstar producer or writer or whatever. In my head, nothing changed. And, you know, I got to take my mom to the Grammys and sit like 5th row.
Wow.
You know, right behind Ariana Grande, in front of Scooter Braun. I look to my right, there's Billie Eilish. Like I'm sitting next to Lizzo. And for my parents, it was like a really, really big moment of like, oh, we actually kind of get what he does now. You know, like my family all watched me on TV and saw me like on cameras with John Legend, and like they could see, oh, he's, you know, and to everybody else, I think they thought I was some big shot, and I wasn't. It was still just like, I'm just getting these opportunities and exposure, but it doesn't really change anything. I still have the same songs I have. I still have the same records I have. But the reason why I think this story is important for anybody listening that's a musician is that your biggest record that could break history and win you 2 Grammys and make you, you know, whatever money you want, like maybe already released. It's not up to you. No one knows what a hit is. And I think people know that more now than ever, because I mean, even labels have admitted they don't know what breaks things anymore. They don't know what goes viral. They can attempt it, but like we saw then again with my other song Rumors that I did with Lizzo and Cardi B and Ricky too, that you can put as much money in like a superstar duo together, and that doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna get what you paid for. And in the past, I think that, you know, we could trust in labels and like the infrastructure to like really build success. But yeah, and it's a long story, but I that really changed my perspective on everything.
Wow. I think we talked about this before with songwriters, how sometimes they're almost kind of hid under the rug and not kind of recognized, right? It's always the artist that's, people don't know that it's someone actually wrote that song for them. Right?
Yeah, and the craziest thing is some of these songwriters write like all of the biggest hits, which is insane, like across the board. And you think, why do I like all these artists? Oh, well, there's maybe one person behind so many things. Or like similar with producers like Max Martin. This guy like is responsible for like, I don't know, 25% of the number ones in the last like 2 decades or something. Like, wow. I don't know, it's something insane amount. People don't realize how much goes into it. Or like I think about Louis Bell. He does all Post Malone's music, and a lot of times he's the sole producer or other writer on them with Posty. And Post Malone is the artist with the most diamond records of all time. He has 9 diamond records, and diamond is 10 times platinum. Wow. So it could be Post Malone being an amazing person. It is. It's a combination of both for sure. Like someone has to perform these things, but it's also some of these genius songwriters. And for songwriters out there, also like they don't get a fee, and a lot of times they don't get points on the master. So they don't own the record other than the publishing. And there's a lot of people trying to change that, but yeah, they're like the secret weapon for sure, and they're much needed. Like you see a lot of artists branch off and say, well, I want to do my own project, especially during COVID. Because COVID stopped everything and made everybody introverted and made everybody want to like dive in and say what they want to say. So you have a lot of people put out records right after COVID that just flopped. Right. And it's like, well, you needed these geniuses who literally just work on writing songs and like translating human experience into the form. You know, if you have to focus on traveling around and doing brand endorsements and performing and being like the face of everything, it's hard to do it all. Yeah.
We're talking about the Lizzo song, that process where they had to fly the song out. It's in Jamaica. Can you talk about that? That's a really interesting story.
Yeah, that was really weird. That was also during COVID. I had just moved to an apartment in which I couldn't make music. I kept getting like violent bangs on my wall every time I like tried to make a record. So they were like in album mode, and my big bro is Ricky Reed. He does You know, he's executive produced all her albums thus far. This is Lizzo, and this is the sophomore album, much anticipated. It's very hard for the sophomore album to be a success for a breakout artist. So there's a lot of pressure. And she had all the buzz to get like the biggest features she wants. So, you know, there's talks of like Cardi, SZA, all kinds of people, Harry Styles at some point. And people were wanting all these things to happen. I had done so many loops for this. It was like, okay, we're in album mode. Well, what am I going to do? You know, I'm going to provide value. Just like I was saying, I got this shot. I can do it again. We've had all this success, but also I think having that, my first song go number one, to me up, because I thought, oh, we're going to do it again. And it's going to be a crazy, well, I also didn't say, but like that year where it going to number one was like the most stressful year of my life. So I was like, I honestly had PTSD making that second record. And I'm getting ready. I'm strapping in for like the chaos of it. But you know, it didn't really work out that way. And I think that was a really big learning lesson for me, because I had done like over 100 ideas or something for the album, and a few of them got cut, like recorded to, and that one was one that they were like, this is going to be a big single. And it was very difficult because I made it all on headphones, and I sent the loop to Ricky, and Ricky then was with Lizzo, and they got to do a lot of tweaking, but I had to kind of be the silent mercenary in a way, sending edits back and forth just to Ricky. I would just text everything to Ricky, like little bits I did. We ended up doing like hundreds of edits of that song, and the song itself is like this sprawling arrangement where like there's just different aspects. There's like an intro, there's a verse, it like changes keys in the verse that has this big horn drop. It's like kind of an expansive, ambitious type of song for a single, which is Lizzo's kind of whole thing. She has this big charismatic energy, but it was so secretive because one, you have Cardi B on it, one of the biggest artists in the world, and then it's like Lizzo's next single, which everybody was waiting for at the time. And also, we had dealt with like a crazy lawsuit. We got sued for Truth Hurts, and they froze my royalties for over a year.
Wow.
I didn't get paid like a massive sum of money for like 2 years. They held it for me.
Wow.
And the guys that did the lawsuit were less than agreeable to deal with. We kind of just ignored it. But like, you know, Lizzo got the brunt of it, obviously, and had to fight for her right to own the song. And whether they're in the right for suing or not, it's aside the point. I'm on the side of my people, but like, you know, because of that, there was massive secrecy, and they had to, at one point, Ricky texted me and was like, oh yeah, like Craig from Atlantic is like, he's flying out to the Caribbean to deliver the track to Cardi B to play for her. I'm like, what does that even mean? You can't just send it. You can't even encrypt it. Like, it's like some James Bond. But the whole time I'm just like sitting in my apartment, not talking to anyone. I'm just like in headphones, feeling like very removed. And honestly, like the track, Ricky changed it so much. Like my involvement, and again, like Ricky's been really generous with splitting things with me and helping me see this kind of like family style thing where like if you're a part of it, we split things evenly. And I felt like my contribution to Truth Hurts was much more significant than my contribution to the song Rumors. But again, like I was very removed from that process, and I felt kind of like, and a lot of people doing loops feel like this, where like, you know, a lot of the guys doing loops are actually like in Germany or like Europe, somewhere far away, don't even have any kind of connection to the music. And then it comes out and maybe it's like a big number one. The whole world is watching it. You don't even really realize. And you can't even tell anyone around you what you're working on for like months at a time. And then you have your family checking on, like, how's it going? It was like, I think it's going good. But if this doesn't work out, I just wasted months of my life. And I'm trying to be a radical optimist and say like, it pushed me to make music of that caliber for that long. But it's a very confusing experience. And you don't know if you're hitting the mark very often because you're just sending a bunch of random stuff out. And I think it helped me reanalyze my strategy, but it also like really confused me because for the most part, I didn't get much on that album, and that song didn't do well. They put, I think, over $1 million into the music video. They had this crazy countdown, campaign before it dropped.
Wow.
They went live for the drop. It went number 4 on Billboard Hot 100 in the country, and everybody saw that as a failure. Even though it went number 1 on the rap charts.
Yeah.
And then the next week, I think it dropped to like 70 and then 80 and then 90 or whatever, and kind of like fizzled. In my mind, I keep trying to recontextualize that experience, because it's kind of cool to have like one of the Lucy's outside of the album, because there's not that many of like, you know, big artists that have like random loose singles with other big artists. But for me, I was anticipating, oh, we got another number 1, here it comes. There's all this buildup, there's all this secrecy, there's all this like work towards this thing, and then it's just a flop, and everyone's like, this is a flop. And then they go reevaluate the whole album, and then they write a whole new single, and that single comes out, and that goes number 1. And everything changes, you know, and the ship sails, and the story is totally different, you know? And so it's just, it can be a ruthless game. You got to have tough skin, but you also have to be like really optimistic that things will keep going. But some of these things are like so bizarre. It's almost like, there's no other real secrecy like that. I feel like maybe in tech or something, like if you're competing to do kind of like AI, like the race to something, or like an arms race. It's kind of like an arms race or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a very weird experience.
Wow. When you're writing, let's say you're writing a song or putting together an album, do you already have an idea who you want it to go to? It's kind of similar with when people create a film or a TV show, right? I want XYZ to star in it.
Yeah.
Is that something that kind of happens?
Yeah, I think a lot of similarities can be made between like video and like film and music, but I do feel like there is a big difference in my approach in terms of like the inspiration for songs.
Right.
I think there's a lot of people that go in and they can do a certain thing in terms of like, okay, we have this car commercial in mind. We want to make some music for this car commercial, and we're kind of competing for this job. Whoever gets it might get $15K or something like that. This is like, I don't know, Lexus or something.
Yeah.
And they'll say, okay, we want an upbeat song with this in mind, and these are the references. So you aim at that. And a lot of people can do that well, and I can do that well enough. But I feel like my most creative moments are honestly removing the second echo of like, is this on track? Is this in the it's more like tuning into oneself and thinking, is this where it needs to go? What is the best idea that can come from this? Like, I do so much better from following intuition than following a prompt, and that's actually caused me some resistance in my career, but I think for my sake has been way more valuable. And I don't think that's the case for everybody. And I do believe, like, if I was going to give, like, I see all these beat tutorials like on YouTube, like people teaching people how to produce. I honestly think the most important thing is like know yourself. So you know how to apply your value system, or you can unload help for what you're weak at.
Yeah.
And I've seen Ricky do this really well. He has like this tool shed of like artists and writers and producers that he can bring in, or instrumentalists, to say, well, I'm really good at maybe collaborating and coordinating this thing, but this person can play this instrument so much better. So like, it's almost like if you can know yourself, you can understand what is your greatest asset. At that time, my greatest asset was making niche ideas that were like really unique and bold. And Ricky helped me see, like, if you can capture attention within 1 second, you have something special. If you can put someone in an emotive place in a world within like that, it's effective art.
Yeah.
So I was getting really good at whatever that was, something really random and bold, and that just makes you feel like you're in a certain space. But I've since then grown into understanding myself a little more deep, and find there's other ways of approaching it. But I think it's different for film, because film, you have to account for all the money spent every second when you're starting to shoot. Like, you're just burning money.
Yeah.
In the studio, I bought all my equipment. I can just hang out all day and just like fart on the mic. It doesn't really matter. And music also can be funny, and like it can express this whole other side that I feel like sometimes you have to plan everything else for, like film. Yeah. So that I've noticed is a little bit of a different distinction to make. And some people do better thinking about it conceptually. Some people think about it more inspiration wise. It's like there's two artists. There's like the Pablo Picassos, or whatever, like or like the Jackson Pollocks, where it's like they're just splattering, they're just in that emotion, that like deep state. And then there's like other people that might want to do still life, and so they'll need like a landscape, and they're going to paint it really accurately, and they're going to approach it like that. And obviously there's some in between, but it's helpful for me to understand the two models.
Yeah. Well, who are you in between? Are you Pablo or Pollock?
I'm more Pollock. Yeah, I don't know if it's my ADD. I don't know if it's just the way I am, but I've come to understand that like I do really well making a lot of things really freely without that second echoed voice. Like we all have a thing where it's like, when I take this sip, oh, it tastes like this. When I do this thing, oh, it feels like this. If I can remove that second critic, I'm way more free to create all kinds of things and then later edit them into something effective. But if I am too much in my head, I'm like, I just like will overthink it, and like it won't come to life. There will be too much resistance. There will be too much critic. There will be too much like, it's like if you're in your own movie, right? Like we all feel like sometimes we're stuck in this movie where like not only are we the star of our own movie, but we're also directing and we're also the critic. And it's almost like maybe we're not the star, you know, maybe we're just a person in it that can be both imperfect and whatever it is, and just having like radical acceptance for whatever creativity comes. And that's why also I was talking about like printing time. It's like I'm more in a world in which everything's automated and built to be efficient, and like people are paid to optimize, like whether it's like health, wellness, like technology, AI. In music, there's this thing called Splice that has all these loops. Everything's perfectly mixed. They use AI to mix records and master records. Improvisation and human flaw is the antithesis. It's like the rebellion against it. There's a renaissance in music that I believe is happening that involves much more improv, much more like real life authenticity, much more humanity. And I think that speaks to me more than anything else. And I feel like when I talk to a lot of people, there's this deep longing for connection to either art or other people, and this sterile, cold homogenization of both beauty and art and like everything else post-capitalist world leaves us really wanting that authenticity, that genuine feeling, you know what I mean? And I think that I can offer that. I can get out of my own way. And as a millennial, that's been difficult to do. A millennial craftsman, you know, millennials are like, oh, I want to spend the next 10 years, the 10,000 hour rule, let it be perfect. Let me learn all this, which I think is valid. But then you also have to unlearn that and feel like everything you're doing is also just right. Yeah. You know, like the kind of wabi-sabi philosophy of like beauty, where like time and space just allows for beauty and things are beautiful as they are. Approaching my own art form in the same way, with the same type of forgiveness and the same type of honor, and then just really tuning into yourself so you know, like, am I going towards that like feeling? Because, you know, sometimes you'll make a piece of art and it'll just make you laugh nonstop, like an inside joke with your friends when you're like 6 years old in sleeping bags and you can't go to sleep because you're laughing so hard and your parents get mad and you're just feeling like a complete goofball and nothing else matters. But then you also feel like you and your friend can do anything. And there's that magic in that imperfection and that silliness that is also so powerful. It doesn't have to be virtuosic, you know, Chopin-esque music. It can just also be something that makes people happy and feel silly or entertaining. And I don't need to be so serious about myself too. Like, who am I? Again, like me, the main character syndrome, I think, is just some bullshit. You know, instead of like, how do other people relate to me? It's more like, how do people relate to the universe in their own objective sense? Myself included. And then we realize, like, well, we zoom out, and the life we're supposed to live can just be flawed and exactly how it's supposed to be, and that is perfect. So just kind of attempting to unlearn all that, but still utilizing the skills. Like, I feel like a lot of the skills I use in the quote unquote, like, the random electronic content Balenciaga shit that I'm posting is like, I'm utilizing all my skills, but just getting out of my way as much as possible, and then letting it be bad. So people can laugh at me, you know, or love it. You feel like maybe they don't have to be so perfect.
Question I was going to ask, like the process, the fundamental process of what to do if you're gonna write a song, right?
Yeah.
Because you're already someone that's already in that's already present in the industry, and kind of already having an awareness of how to make a song,
Yeah.
right? Even though it's freeform, you can kind of, there's still steps you kind of have to take, right? Like what, like if I were a producer and I'm just, I want to get into the industry and make a song,
Yeah.
like what are the things I have to do to make that happen, or how do I create that?
I mean, I think this is a good question to even like mirror back at you, like in terms of like studying jiu-jitsu. There's like drilling
Right.
from basics is super important. Like trying to recreate the armbar over and over. It's like maybe take your favorite song and try to make that beat.
Right.
But I think my point, the bigger point that I'm trying to make is essentially like don't be scared to put out bad so that you can learn through reality. It's like you can have all these great ideas in your head.
Yeah.
You don't really know if they're good until they exist.
Right.
Right? It's like the 0 to 1 theory of like 0 is like it doesn't exist, 1 is it exists. Like, so you only, but it's also like at the same time, you don't want to go in necessarily and go on the mat and try all kinds of crazy shit and roll right away. Maybe that's not the best way to learn.
Right.
But you shouldn't be afraid to play in some sense within that like same space. But like I think music is it's funny because like sometimes train wrecks go viral, but you also don't want to go viral too soon,
Right.
because maybe then you won't find out who you really are, and you'll pander to the virality of yourself, and maybe you get caught in a place where you can't sustain it, and what you're sustaining is like totally unworthy of like your fulfillment.
Yeah.
You want to feel fulfilled if you're making art, but maybe if you're, I think free form is a practice just as the other thing. Like I also make records that like have to be mixed and have to be mastered even in a demo stage for me to just pitch them to somebody and say, we can do it. I can take you there and we can make like a big record for you. And that requires a lot of like, learning and making like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of songs. So what I want to say more or less is like, it's just important to continue to play. And I think at that last step, when you're just getting so involved in like perfection, it's important to really like unlearn some of that and let yourself be free a little bit. Like in society, we get really caught up in being like a brother or a son or a husband or whatever it is. And sometimes you need to actually go out and feel like completely devoid of those responsibilities and almost become like an animal to come back and then be a more competent human being with more compassion and less fear. And like, so, music is kind of an example of that, where like, if you're making like perfect beats every day and you think they're all really well made, if you go to Berkeley and you can play every single instrument perfectly, is that really going to spark the world? I don't know. Maybe. But I also feel like the person that's like making something really honestly and his voice is cracking and he's saying the realest shit ever, maybe you'd want to share that more than someone who just can play Liebestrom by Liszt perfectly, But I'm not sure. I'm curious what you think, and if that like applies to jiu-jitsu in some sense. Like after black belt level, the idea of like incorporating play in some way, some creativity, getting out of the rigidity to discover new things, and if that's valuable,
I think it's similar.
Yeah.
But yes, as a black belt, like to get there, you have to know the fundamentals, right? Because it's symbolically a black belt is the mastery of fundamentals. Right. So anything after that is you exploring how the fundamentals how you can explore the fundamentals and see how it fits for you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think don't go into a session with an artist and just freeform it. If you're working with an artist, your job is to serve them. In the most fundamental, basic way. Like if they come in and say, I want to make a country record. Well, get the banjo out, get the steel pedal out, get the guitar out. Like you're not gonna do it just like, you know, you have to be aware of the technique in that. But then when you're exploring art itself, once you have that, like it's important to like open up the doors a little more, because humans evolve, you know.
Yeah.
It's helpful to know all those things. It only gets you so far if you really only know like just the very, very, very basics and like haven't even mastered them. Maybe you'll blow up, and then like you see every year, like there's like a lot of artists that I feel like blow up when they're really young for one thing, and then they end up kind of like in a place where you know, they're a white belt, but they're in the black belt territory, and they got on by being spazzy and crazy and like trying that crazy collar choke, and that's all they know, but it's not even a well-developed collar choke, and like, you know, they go get hurt and they're just done and they quit. You know, I don't know, like maybe that's a more apt comparison, because I do feel like there's a little bit of a comparison between those things. Of course. I think I'm just struggling to find out or articulate like the exact similarities, but I do think it's like enacting freeform is important, enacting play is important, but it is most masterfully conducted when you know what you're doing with your instrument.
Is there an artist right now that you've like in a sense of performance, creativity, the music that they put out, their songwriting? Is there someone that you, or a few people that I'm curious about that you like?
I mean, even yesterday, I feel like there's this whole kind of like renaissance in Los Angeles musically that kind of involves some sense of improvisation and people kind of coming together and just like maintaining that space, maintaining that precious space of creation, like for as long as you can, and holding it there. And I talked to a friend of mine, Nate Mercero, who I'm really inspired by. He made this album last year. It was my most listened to album of the year, and it was like it's just him performing with two other guys in Ojai, and it's pretty much ambient music, but it's like,
cool.
It's hard to remember. It's just three guys playing instruments, but it's so beautiful, and there's something really human about it. And they actually went to co-produce most of the Andre 3000 flute album. And the flute album is really interesting to me too, because it's another step from another titan in this direction of like, we're kind of rebelling against the automation, the perfection. We're embracing being masters at being human. And like, basically Nate put it this way: showing up in the moment with everything you are and maintaining that as long as you can. And there's an artist I saw last night who I'm a huge fan of, McGee. I think his new album's like incredible. Another friend of mine, Zach, played in the show with him. Zach Seekoff, shout out Zach. These guys are both on my you know, around the same Nice Life circle under Ricky. And it's so interesting because I'm super inspired by these guys right now, and they're a part of these projects, and then it's influencing my type of like the way I approach music. But McGee's incredible. It's like him, this other guy, Andrew Aged, they're both playing guitar, and then Zach was on stage doing God knows what, like some crazy like soundscaping and some kind of percussive work and sequencing everything. But a lot of that music is really raw and has like this crazy edge to it that's like a lot of improvisation and a lot of just like guys coming together and like shredding and just maintaining that emotion and supporting it too, like that, supporting that vulnerability. And when I went to the Andre show, it shook me to my core. It was at the Masonic Lodge, 150 people cap.
Wow. Phones
off in those little cases that you can't use. And Andre, like, one of the first things he does is like burp on the mic. And it's all dark, and there's like a woman screaming at times. There's like these like two type of percussion players. One guy, this guy Carlos, has this like 6-foot spiral cymbal that he's like smashing every once in a while. He's like poking cymbals. He's shaking a palm tree around these mics that are surrounding him. There's this other guy with like these wide thunderous like drums that he's like creating just some type of like presence with, and then Andre's just picking up random like weird flute instruments, and there's like these lasers coming and smashing like this crystal and fractaling into it, and there's like all these smokes, and he looks like a weird sci-fi like hero.
Wow.
And they're just basically bringing sound to a breaking point and maintaining it for like 15-20 minutes at a time. Sometimes I was like gripping my pants, like stressed out. It was really like sometimes like very difficult to be in.
Yeah.
And then other times I was like being lulled to sleep with like the most beautiful sound bath type of energy.
Yeah.
So these kind of communities I'm really inspired by right now, and I feel like are really pushing the sound. It felt like Andre was in this weird kind of like esoteric Sun Ra, Miles Davis jazz kind of like space, and then McGee, people like that. And so I think there's something really special about like if you can dive super deep into your space and you have a community that can support your vulnerability, that you trust to be that weirdo, to be that 6-year-old in the sleeping bag, and like and say, I'm gonna make this stupid joke, and they're like, yeah, say that, I love it, I'm gonna say it louder than you, and then you say it back, and we're gonna like spiral so deep into this world that like is so human, and then we're gonna push that, and your community can push you up to the surface. The gods will look down and pluck you, maybe.
Yeah.
So it's almost like it's a little bit of a combination of like build it and they will come, as well as like, I don't know, male friendship, vulnerability, and just like the human imperfection, the human experience. But those artists really encapsulate all this stuff I'm stoked about.
Yeah. I think that's amazing. And you said that's it's like a new movement that's coming out.
I believe.
And I wonder if you even know that that's that new movement is, if that's on purpose, with the creatives kind of moving against something so formulated with music. Right?
Yeah.
So,
I don't know, because like I feel like it's just like it's in the air. It's like a mystic fog coming in.
Right.
But I think for a long time we've all felt like semi disconnected with popular culture and entertainment. A lot of what we're listening to is like audio Valium.
Right.
And we're tired of being marketed too. I think people are smarter than we give them credit for. You can't just like manufacture a hit. You just need to feel art. And I think for a long time, and I think our audience in general has been conditioned to art that doesn't speak to them and evoke something. And now people are kind of like finding what does again. And it's funny because Andre 3000 and McGee are so different, but there's elements of the approach, the perspective, like stepping into the art, that is similar. Like their sounds are so different, but it's like there's this interesting through line. I think it's like that, and it's like just a longing for connection, and like we're just people trying to capture our experience and how we feel, and it's just inevitably coming into this space. I don't think anyone's really, maybe they are like aware that the movement is even happening, but I'm so obsessed with this stuff right now that I'm kind of like concocting through lines and theories that inform the way I approach it, and I'm doing it in my own way, because like they're kind of like anti-social media, and I'm like doubling down on the social media with the same attitude of like my posts are improvisation, the art is synonymous with the content in a way, and I don't know, I think a lot of it can be misconstrued as shit posting, which it potentially is, but it's also like the act of it is more important than the art of it in a way. The act of it is like a statement. And I think that's also about like Andre. Like if I brought someone random who didn't know the Flute album to the show, they might be like, what the this is weird. But if you're aware of the intention and kind of like spend time giving it a shot, like it does something to you. It's like shaking up the snow globes, your mind being the hill that the snow is on, and your thought patterns being the tracks in which the sled goes down. If you shake it up and refresh it, you can have these experiences with like music like that. Like if you just put yourself in that, and like it's devoid of scale, it's devoid of tune, it's devoid of tempo, it's devoid of all these things that we've categorized as grid-like art. And it helps us remember we're just making art for other humans. We're not just making, it's not like a video game, it can be this other thing. So it's really inspiring to me. Those artists are kind of at the forefront of something that I'm watching. And yeah, there's like, you know, there's so many talented songwriters that can just write amazing songs. Country music has incredible songs written to them that I'm a huge fan of. And you know, I like the pop stars too here and there, but
Yeah.
the stuff that's really, really pushing me is just like the way these guys are approaching it, you know, and seeing it live, seeing them just really let it all out live. It's very brave. It's very genuine. And it's like, it's contagious. I find it contagious. It makes you want to be who you are in a bigger way, without needing the attention, you know, just stepping into your life just to feel more fulfilled. You know?
I think, a lot of people that I know that are creatives, making music, movies, etc., that come here, I know you meditate, you work out, you train. Is that something that you feel like should be part of everyone's routine to help their creativity, or do you have to make that part of the routine to help your creativity? Is that?
Yeah, I think there's like this false idea that you got to be the suffering artist.
Yes, that's why I was asking. Yeah.
Like I know at the starving, I know some guys like that are geniuses, and I do believe that even if they were healthy, they would still be creative. You know?
Yeah.
And they just feel better. I mean, I'm really about trying to make music that has like a positive impact these days, because you have a choice, and like music is kind of like a spell. I've seen it firsthand impacting 1 billion people with a song, and that was like, oh my God. So it's been important to me to understand, like, what are you trying to make your audience feel and think? Like, that's some attempting to change the world without, you know, trying to be too big brained about it. But like, yeah, I think it's very important for people to know themselves and actually feel like they're cultivating their relationship with their intuition, so they can understand in the moment what is dangerous, what is opportunity. Like when we do jiu-jitsu, there's like this really physical type of intelligence that comes over where you like can sense something happening down here in your feet or like up here, and you don't need to think about it. You're already just aware of it because you're attuning your intuition to like whatever it is. Maybe that's like more corporeal intelligence, but like I think the same can be said about like any moment. If you're spending time with yourself, if you're, you know, just like turning your body, your vessel, like to optimize your body, like within reason, don't turn it into like this masochistic self-critical thing. But take care of yourself, and you'll probably have a better compass for what speaks to you. And you'll be able to hear your voice and like be able to conduct it better, you know. We don't need more chaos. Right. I think there's enough in our environment trying to create chaos.
Yeah, I feel like that's another movement that I've been seeing with a lot of songwriters, artists. Everyone's healthy, mentally, physically, spiritually. And they're coming out with these their projects that are just amazing from a health and present standpoint, right? Before we used to be, I guess example would be like Nirvana. Right?
Glorifying self-sacrifice.
Right. And we're hearing that same exact sound from people that are, I got to work on my glutes today. You know what I mean? I'm getting a massage. I gotta meditate tomorrow. And they're putting out the same sounds, big hits. Without that torture, right?
I think a lot of specifically Kurt, he's such a sensitive guy. He didn't have a lot of ways of coping with how he felt. I think like if you can manage the sensitivity with these other techniques, you're way better off to sustain your life. One of the things about being a star is you can't die.
Right.
You gotta stay alive.
Unless
you just want to be the, you know, have a legacy like where you're a martyr. But you don't need to be. I do think that the health trends are really cool. You just have to be careful who you listen to about it.
I wanted to ask too about your alter ego, which we're gonna bring, Balenciaga Batman.
Yeah, I mean, that's not like it's not like I don't have a name for it. It's just kind of like there's all these working titles, but I like that because it's like there is a metaphor we can see. It's like when the bat signal calls, you become something.
Yeah.
You put the mask on and everyone treats you different in a way. And
Right.
I think there's like a value in having masks and wearing, like, even looking at the mask, Jim Carrey, it's like he became that epic guy he wanted to deep down. But I think there is something special about being able to tap into a side of yourself in order to not actually be a monster. Like Paul Schrader, the guy who wrote Taxi Driver. The Taxi Driver, for those that don't know, is like about a guy who drives a taxi in New York, and he's just like fed up with the scum in the world, and he like, kind of becomes a vigilante, and he ends up killing some people, like some pimps, and like taking it on himself, and he's kind of mentally deranged. Paul Schrader says he wrote that in order to not be that, because he saw all that and it was challenging for him. So there's like this sense of like, well, you can build the art you'd like to express things that don't actually need to exist, and in the Balenciaga Batman kind of energy is like, well, more or less it's like an escape to dominate a certain niche that I feel like is very authentic to me in a really concentrated way that enacts the improvisation we're talking about. It enacts some of the not second guessing yourself. And it also is an attempt to be part of the noise rather than reject the noise. If like we're in a market that's oversaturated with like cinema and music, instead of trying to drop one thing and have it cut through, just become all of it. Just become the noise and let the comments dictate let the form of your art emerge out of the creating too much of it. And that's kind of like what this is becoming. And who knows, maybe in a month it'll be some other kind of Batman. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just letting it up to it's an invitation to my friends to be a part of the template. It's an invitation to my audience to be a part of it. And then it doesn't have to also be my only voice. It can be the separate thing.
Yeah. So with your process of, I feel like your daily is always being in that creative space, right? Is there something physically that you like to do to help you be in that creative space? Exercise? What kind of exercise? Is it, if you're training, does Jiu-Jitsu help you be in that, hitting the bags and pad work? I know you sauna a lot. Or is it all of it that you feel like you have to do to be in that space?
Yeah. I mean, I think I'd be able to make art no matter what. It's just sort of part of my life. It's so natural for me. But I'm way more happy when I can and feel more fulfilled when I can do these things. Like jiu-jitsu is amazing for me. Obviously, like I'm a beginner, but like every time we roll or come to a class, I learn so much about myself, and it's also like I'm entirely in my body the whole time until after. And that's like a huge break from me, where like I'm thinking about so much all the time, and that's one of my biggest issues, like overthinking. As I said, like that's why improvisation is really exciting to me, and like maintaining the flow in the moment, which is something that I think you have to do in jiu-jitsu, or else you just immediately suffer.
Yeah.
So it's like a really cool way to just be in your body. And I mean, dancing is like jiu-jitsu. Dancing, you just like in the flow physically. Hitting the bag is cool. I think like all of that stuff. I love swimming in the ocean. Like I love feeling like kind of one with nature, and the sauna is awesome. I honestly feel like if like the world leaders did that and came and like met once a month, and like it should be a crazy world of just like they'd probably let a lot of go.
Yeah. Backtracking to the beginning of when we were just talking, you mentioned at some point you were about to quit. Yeah, you were about to leave. You were gonna leave LA. Was that?
I didn't know. I didn't have a plan B, and that was maybe a good thing for me.
Yeah.
It was kind of like I'm just gonna hang on to the edge of this cliff until my fingers break. And it just kind of got to the point where I was like, well, I might as well just go home and like save some more money and like get a job or something somewhere, like easy in Seattle because it's like so much easier to get jobs over there. Just even like at a restaurant.
Yeah.
I even applied to a bunch of restaurants here and didn't get a job, even though I had like 4 years of restaurant experience at a sushi place.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like probably one of the worst times in my life, you know, just feeling like I had nothing. The people that did support me, like my parents have been like cheering me on, but I never wanted to ask them for anything. And dropping out of school was one of those things. It's like I didn't want them to pay for school if I was going to be a musician, and so I just never wanted to tell them anything. I didn't talk to them for a long time because it was just bad news, and I didn't want to bear the brunt of their disappointment. And I think there was a really close time where I felt like poor me kind of thing, but like I just had tried for so long. I felt like I don't know how much more of this I can take, because like I feel like this is what a crazy person does, you know, repeating the same things without changing and expecting different results. But the crazy thing also too is like I hung in there long enough till something happened.
Right.
And had I quit like a little bit earlier, I would have just never, you know, I wouldn't be here.
And what the reason I ask is because everyone's always on the verge of quitting.
Yeah.
Or there's a lot of people that's on the verge of quitting that actually quit. And that you'll never know what could have actually happened if he never quit.
Yeah.
So what was it that made you not quit?
Just like I think kind of some Ram Dass shit, like extreme curiosity about the potential of every day. It's like shift. I read this book like I think it's Man's Search for Meaning, and then I also was reading Be Here Now by Ram Dass, and it was kind of like the purpose of every moment is what's required in the moment, and also like any moment anything can happen, and wow, how cool is that? I don't know. I also think like I was around some people that are really inspiring, so getting around some inspiration too again kind of like turns you up. I don't know, have you ever been in the kind of position where you're gonna quit and like what were some
it's kind of fighting through, even in jiu-jitsu where you're about to do this, right? You're about to tap, and all of a sudden something came in your head like, oh wait, I can do this.
Yeah.
You know, the hand doesn't have to go here. I can go here and not tap.
Yeah. Yeah, that's huge. I mean, that's like a weird thing that I didn't even know was ingrained in me when you first taught me the collar choke.
Yeah.
And then we rolled, and then you did the collar choke, and I tapped right before anything could, I was even like, I could still breathe. And then we did it again, and, you know, I endured it and then like find a way out. It's like, oh, wow, just, it's kind of like a fly bouncing against like the glass window, but the window's open. And if they just go down a little bit, they can get out, but they're just like, dunk, 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 dunk. Oh, I'm stuck.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think we can feel like that.
Yeah.
But really like jiu-jitsu is like the most obvious way of like there's usually a way out.
Yeah.
If you can just be okay, chilling in the uncomfortable position.
I wanted to maybe next time bring in your alter ego.
Oh yeah.
Or
I mean, I don't know how that's going to be any different, except I'm just going to be wearing so much Balenci.
Yeah. I mean, that's amazing. But I wanted to ask maybe what can you say to those people that are just about to quit? They're about to quit. They've been making music, right? They're putting all their passion, their life into that project, right? They're about to tap.
Yeah.
About to quit, about to move on.
Yeah.
Like, what is it that you can... What's one or three things you can tell those kids, I guess, that, you know, to help them not quit?
I think part of it is like the story you're narrating about yourself. Maybe the thing that's going to change your life in the biggest way that you always wanted might already exist. Don't you want to hang around and see if it happens? You know?
Right.
And then also like, the stories we tell ourselves every day, you know, is it really like tapping time?
Yeah.
Or maybe if you just look at this other option, there's so much more on the horizon.
Right.
I think like with drug addicts, it's kind of similar in a way. Or like a breakup even. It's like you can focus so much on that one thing that's causing you pain, but the minute you realize like the rest of your life is super cool, just being even alive, hopefully gives you some newfound inspiration that like your life doesn't revolve around you just failing at this one thing. And maybe your idea of failure is a little bit short-sighted, you know? And don't be afraid to pivot too, like maintain, but also pivot. Like life is always fluctuating, so you have to be willing to evolve. Like if something's really not clicking, maybe don't give it up, but also explore other things. Like the content I'm posting is almost like the antithesis of what I was doing, which is like the craftsman thing. So try the opposite for a while and see what happens. You might change how you feel, you know?
Yeah. So this is, I call at the end always part 1. We're doing part 2.
Yes.
Thank you, Stevie.
Thank you, Sensei Tim.
Yeah.
That's it for this episode of Fighting Spirits from Zenki Dojo Media. See you next time. And until then, keep fighting the good fight.